Do you hate being bored? Are you constantly trying to fidget and find things to do and scroll on your phone out of fear of boredom? Well, this video is about how to make boredom your superpower and why that's so important. My name's Natalie Baker. I'm a licensed psychotherapist and neurofeedback trainer. And one of the things that I observe both in my psychotherapy practice as well as during my neurofeedback work is that people are terrified of boredom. Why? You're sitting, you're doing nothing. Why is that so scary? It's a sign that fear is right below the surface, and it's a sign that there's stress in your life. Whatever fear that comes up when there's a gap and nothing is going on, right? That's what boredom is. We experience a gap and there's nothing for or against us. It's just as it is. But for some reason, that freaks us out. And that freak out is really an expression of underlying fear that's there all the time. So if you can tolerate boredom, then you can be creative. You might remember when you were a child and you were bored, and you would say to your parent, or you say to your kid now, I'm bored. And the parent says, well, you're going to have to figure that out, right? That frustration and that tolerance of that experience tends to lead to some creative action. And so that's when we're not just acting out the fear that's just below the surface, but we're allowing ourselves to stay present with it and just see what happens. And with children, what happens is something creative. Now, if you've tried this to just sit with your boredom and you can't, that means there's a little too much fear underneath the surface. And fear is really the stress response. So let's just talk a little bit about the stress response, which is the brain perceiving that there is immediate danger. This is the limbic brain. This is not the part of your brain that you control, but it is a keep me alive brain. Look out for danger at any moment brain. And that brain uses punch it, run from it, or play dead. So fear is anticipatory of something bad happening. And when we have the brain in that zone too much of the time, we're constantly looking for distraction, and we are very uncomfortable when there's a gap that we call boredom, when nothing's taking place. So not being able to be frustrated with our boredom and just sit with it tells us that we have a little bit too much of a stress reactivity. We're in the punch it, run from it, play dead energy, which it looks more like we are constantly distracting ourselves. We're slightly irritable. Our minds race. We have difficulty falling asleep. We fidget. We feel powerless in relationships. We numb out. We zone out. These are signs that we have a little too much of a stress response. So being able to then conquer that piece of it, which means that we need to add more de-stressors in our life. And those are things like getting regular exercise. It could be just walking vigorously for 20 minutes a day, sitting in nature. Research shows you take a walk in nature, boy, does that shift out of that stress response, sympathetic nervous system into rest and relaxation, the parasympathetic nervous system. Eating whole foods, not eating a lot of processed foods, not eating late at night, giving ourselves a calming routine at night so we can fall asleep, hanging out with people who make us feel good, who bring joy. And if you've tried those things and that still hasn't helped you, then I recommend also adding brain training with neurofeedback, because brain training with neurofeedback is specifically about telling that limbic brain that it's stuck in that go mode, in that stress mode. And when the brain has the opportunity to see that and register that it's in a safe environment, it doesn't want to do that go mode all the time because that's exhausting. So what happens is we're able to re-regulate and be in a calm, open state. And so when we're feeling that sense of, oh, there's a gap and nothing's happening, i.e. boredom, we can tolerate it. And that's a sign that we're in a space where we can be in the present. The brain is not communicating, freak out, there's some big problem, distract yourself. It's calm, it's aware. And then we can do what we could do as children, which is find a creative outlet for ourselves. So I hope this video was helpful. Please subscribe, leave a comment with a question if you have one. I'm constantly doing new videos and encourage you to stick with your boredom.